Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Universally Epic Podcast, your go to Universal Orlando trip planning podcast. I'm your host, Jim Klein, and in today's show, we will discuss Cabana Bay Beach Resort, rank all of the Universal roller coasters, and explore Celestial Park at Epic Universe, opening May 22nd, 2025. And to help me out, I have a lifelong Universal enthusiast and fellow agent. She has been a travel agent with Magical S Travel for 2 years, Taylor Franklin. Taylor, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
So we're going to start talking about Cabana Bay Beach Resort to start. Um, you had mentioned that that's one of your favorite resorts. Just give me a reason why you decide to go there every time you go down.
Yeah, so Cabana Bay has kind of become my favorite resort because it's really big. So I actually, on this past trip that I just got back from, we got to spend a little bit more time in the resort this time. So we were on the other side of the resort because we were in a family suite this time. So we got to experience a little bit more of the pools and stuff. And I found the hot tub and I didn't even know it was there. I just stumbled across it.
Yeah, the pools are really nice at Cabana Bay. So there's two
Mhm.
separate pool areas. Do you have a
Yes.
preference on which one? You have the Cabana Bay Courtyard pool, and then you have where the lazy river is. Um,
So I prefer the lazy river because I just want to sit there and just go in circles.
and chill out.
Um, but there is a bar on the other side, over by like the family resorts and stuff. So it was kind of fun. We would just like sit in the hot tub and like get a couple drinks and then just like go over what happened during the day because I brought a bunch of friends with me this time, so we had like 9 people with us.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so we filled up the whole hot tub.
Oh.
We would just
Oh,
like sit there and we would just kind of get to hang out and just chat about what happened that day. Because a lot of the people that I took were brand new to Universal. They'd never been to Universal, so it was kind of like a, well, tell me what your favorite thing that we did today was.
nice. So with 9 people, so how did you break down the rooms? I know you said you were in a family suite. So with 9 people, how did you break that up?
So we had a couple that came down with their families, so they were in like a different part of the resort than we were. It was a tough squeeze to get all of us to like be in one room to hang out. So we kind of tried to like, we went to dinner on City Walk, or we'd like go do just like things around the resort where it was like all of us could sit down and all of us could talk. But there were 5 of us in the family suite.
Okay.
Um, so, but
Now, did you have one overlooking Volcano Bay, or was it in another area of the resort?
So, the family suites don't overlook Volcano Bay as far as I'm aware. They
Okay.
don't, because they're on the other side of the resort. So, Volcano Bay is more on the side where like the standard rooms are. So you'll see a lot more of the volcano on that side of the resort than on
All
the
right.
family suite side.
Nice. Did you guys try the Galaxy Bowl?
No, okay. We really wanted to, but we also were going to Halloween Horror Nights, so it was like everybody would be like, "Yes, let's go bowling," and I was like, "We really come all this way to go bowling?"
It is a cool concept, but yeah, you're right. Like you can do that back at home, wherever
Yeah,
you're from, So like but it does fit with the theming, like that 50s, 60s vibe. It has really cool like atmosphere in there. Um,
yeah. I like the neon pins. We walked
yeah, it's
past it
very
a
cool.
couple of times, and like the neon pins were so interesting to me.
Definitely draws you in. Definitely want to spend that money.
Yeah.
So, where did you do? What's your favorite place to eat at Cabana Bay? Like, what was one of your favorite things? Or do you have
So
any
I
favorite?
love the Bayliner Diner.
Okay.
I'm a diehard Bayliner Diner person. To a point where even when we were just like out and about walking on City Walk, I was like, nah, I'll eat back at the resort.
Which is
Um,
So the Bay Liner Diner is like a quick service restaurant, but it's a huge space. It's really cool.
mhm.
Like in like the dining room area, there's like huge TVs that have like old like videos going. Like it's really cool. There's a section when you go check out the bowling alley, you can walk over kind of where like Jack LaLanne is, and you can overlook the whole Bayliner Diner like area, and it's kind of cool to get a nice picture from that top view. Is really cool.
It's so fun. The food there is like pretty basic. It's not like it's got anything super special, but I haven't had anything that wasn't good there.
Yeah, it serves its purpose, right? Like, so it's a quick, easy way to just get in, get out, go to the parks, go to City Walk, wherever you're heading, for either
Exactly.
the night or in the morning. Um,
Mhm.
what other highlights do you have of Cabana Bay? What would you say that, like, if you're going there, you have to check out? Other than obviously the pool and the lazy river is definitely one of the coolest things, but is there something else? Honestly, I think the lobby is very underrated over there. Like,
It
a lot of you walk in
is.
there, it's really, really nice. You can see straight out the back. Like,
Mhm.
there's palm trees inside. It's really nice, and then they have that lobby bar is really the swivel
The
bar.
Swizzle Lounge.
Yeah,
It's actually really cool, and I had, so we drove down to Florida, um, from Georgia. So we kind of got there a little later than we were supposed to, but a bunch of my people that we were traveling with had gotten there beforehand, and they like took a tour around the lobby and the Bayliner diner and everything, and they were just kind of poking around. But they said that the Swizzle Lounge is actually like really good. The
yeah,
drinks and everything there are really good. And the whole thing was themed to the Pumpkin Lord, and I love the Pumpkin Lord. I think he's so fun. But the whole thing was themed to the Pumpkin Lord, and at one point we met Gru was in the lobby,
that's awesome. My
which
son was losing
was
his mind over that. Like, as you can see, I stole all my son's stuffed animals, which is in the back over here.
I
But
see the minions.
I don't know what happened. We went down there and he's like, "Oh, I need this one. Oh, I have a gift card for this." And like we come back and he's got a suitcase full of minions. He was
That's
losing
just how
money.
they go. They
Yeah,
just kind of appear.
it happens, right? Yeah. So,
But yeah, and it happened a couple of times, which is interesting because I haven't seen not that it doesn't exist, but I've not seen like characters in the lobby. And we got there was Gru, forgive me, the gorilla from Sing. I don't know what his name is.
would have no idea. I would have no
Um,
idea.
and then Scooby Doo was also there at one point.
Oh, that's cool.
We just like rounded a corner and Scooby was there. um,
That's funny.
but that's really interesting, and I really like to see. So Cabana Bay has a lot of rooms, and it's really really big. And so it's really interesting to see kind of the difference because we stayed at the dockside last year, and I didn't see nearly as many like bigger families as I did when I was like walking through the lobby for Cabana Bay. Um, so I thought that was really interesting. And they have sometimes like old cars out in front of Cabana Bay, and those are always really cool. Especially if you're a car person, which I'm not really, but I can appreciate that these cars are from like the 1950s.
Yeah, like the theming, like they do stick with a nice theme over there. Um,
Yeah,
I always say like Universal's like moderate and like value type resorts are like so nice
they're so
compared to
nice.
other places in Orlando. Like
Hmm.
it's a huge step up, and for the price, it's definitely worth checking out. Now, when you were there,
Yeah.
how'd you feel about the transportation? So, like, if you're going to City Walk or the parks, did you take the bus? Did you walk? I know it's like a 15-20 minute walk from there. But what did you guys decide to do?
So we took the bus because there were a lot of us, and unfortunately, I have knee problems, so I can't really. It's a lot of walking already, so it just puts a lot of strain on my knee. But not this year, but the year or last year, the year before that, we had decided to take the walking path, which is pretty cool because you get to go like on the same route that like the boat travels. So you kind of get to go down there by the water and stuff. Almost like it's kind of fun because it almost feels like you shouldn't be over there, but you definitely should. And if you and if you can walk that, absolutely, I don't see any problem with it at all. But we preferred the bus just because it is so much faster, and because we're going to Halloween Horror Nights and stuff. It is really hard to kind of keep your stamina if you're walking all the way through the park multiple times, taking 30,000 steps in a day. um the bus just kind of is like, okay, well, we don't have to walk here.
The bus is so efficient. Like
It's so efficient.
it's very simple. Like, but there's a lot of buses that come. Like you could get on a bus within 10 minutes easily every single time you go to the bus stop, and then it drops you right off at City Walk. You go right through the security, and then you're good to go. Like, I love that about
Mhm.
Universal is that security checkpoints. Like, once you're in that main area going into City Walk and into the parks, like, there's no other checkpoint. Like, it's great. Like, I love how, like, it just that's it. You're ready to go.
It's just so easy, and it's, really helpful that City Walk is there because then you don't run into, like, these super long lines at the security check point at the front of the park, and, to bring it back to Halloween Horror Nights, it's really convenient because of the Stay and Scream. You just kind of, like, go through security once, and then you're through the gate as soon as you get there, and
Right.
you scan your passes and everything, so it's really helpful, that there's only one security checkpoint, um,
Yeah,
so
no, it is a great thing at, Universal. Um, any other comments you wanna have on Cabana Bay?
It's a beautiful resort,
Yeah,
genuinely. I we just kind of, like, walked around for a while, at one point because, like I said, one of my friends was on the complete opposite side from us, so we had to walk quite a distance to get
mhm,
over there, but it's really nice because on the, side where the family suites are not, there is, you can choose to go through the lobby to get to the bus lane, or you can walk completely outside the whole time. Also, Cabana Bay has its own private entrance into Volcano Bay, which is really convenient if you're going there. You just kind of just go through the gates.
nice. Yeah, it's great, yeah. One of my past episodes, we talked about Aventura as well, like, they have that
Yeah.
private entrance, it's great. It's one of
Mhm.
those things that are it's a nice little touch for a moderately priced resort, right? Like, you don't have
Right.
to be staying in some premier hotel or signature hotel, to get this benefit. It's really nice to just walk right in. Um, yeah, like, honestly, Cabana Bay's really nice. It's got 2 great pools, some nice places to eat. So, overall, like, I think if you're going to Universal, we should definitely check out Cabana Bay, right? We
Yeah.
could agree on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's move on to our next topic, which is going to be roller coasters. So you mentioned that you're a huge roller coaster buff.
I
Um,
am.
so I'm going to read off the list of all the roller coasters and here's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of Troller Coaster, and
No.
okay, we'll talk about thrilling. Okay, we're talking
Alright.
thrilling roller coasters. Okay, so roller coaster, and let's do this. Let's do a little mini ranking right now. So out of those 2, Flight of the Hippogriff or Troller Coaster, which one are you going on?
Roller coaster.
You're going on the Troller Coaster, right? Alright.
I love the roller coaster. I think it's so funny.
And is the Flight of the Hippogriff, is that, like is it even worth the time to stand online for it? It's got an hour wait every single day.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with the Harry Potter area in general is that because it's so popular and everybody wants to go so bad, everything over there is is a crazy wait.
Yeah,
I personally I wouldn't wait an hour for it,
yeah, it's a quick ride. It
but
definitely is. Alright, so let's get into, like, the thrills, okay?
okay,
So we're gonna rank these: Velocicoaster, The Hulk, Hagrid's, Revenge of the Mummy, Rip Ride Rocket, Escape from Gringotts, and I think that's it. So what are you putting? Let's start at the bottom. Out of
okay.
those, like, which is your least? I wouldn't say favorite because you might like them all, but like, which one is like, okay, I might be able to skip if I go.
Unfortunately, even though it is a mainstay, the Rip Ride Rocket, I
I'll have to agree with that. Like, I would definitely agree with that.
yeah, it's really rough. It's old, and it doesn't feel good. And also the wait time for that is also always
Yeah, it
crazy.
takes a long time, and, like, I think we're coming to that point, and there's some rumors out there that, like, that might get a little facelift and maybe not even be there any longer, like, that's been thrown out there, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a rough ride, it's a long wait. Yeah, we'll put that at the bottom, I'll agree with that one,
Maybe if they put a chiropractor in the gift shop, maybe I'll get on it.
so so then after Rip Ride Rocket, what do you do? Now I think it gets a little harder because I think everything else is significantly better than Ride Rocket, in my opinion.
Hmm.
How about we did? So for me, it would have to be, and I love Revenge of the Mummy, but like I like the other ones a little bit better.
I think I agree.
Right? Like it is a great, great ride. Like I'm not skipping it. I don't suggest anybody skip it if you're into roller coasters, but it's
It's so
just
fun.
all the remaining ones are so good that
Mhm.
it's hard to just be like, "Oh no, Revenge of the Mummy is better than the other ones."
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and also it kind of goes off of like what you like because I know a lot of people don't like indoor roller coasters.
Yep.
And especially because those ride cars are a little bit low to the ground. They're kind of they're not hard to get into, but they're low to the ground and the seats aren't as nice to you
I
as
agree.
the rest of the roller coasters on the list. And I think for that alone is probably why I would put it in that next slot because it's great. I don't suggest anybody skips it, especially if you've never been through it. The ride line queue is amazing.
Very cool.
Um,
Very cool.
but it just isn't.
Yeah.
It's just not on the same level.
All right. So what we have left is Velocicoaster, Hulk, Hagrid's, and Escape from Gringotts. So let's do this. Let's just put Velocicoaster at the top, right?
Yeah, like
Right, like, let's start there. Let's go this way now, right?
mhm.
So then we're really left with the Hulk, Hagrid's, and Escape from Gringotts. And I have to tell you, like, I love the Hulk. I really do. Like, I think the launch on that is incredible. And when
Yeah,
you're coming through that tunnel and it shoots you, it looks like there's no track and they're just shooting you out of a cannon. It
it's
looks
so
amazing.
scary.
So much fun. But, like, compared to Gringotts is amazing. Just the queue alone at Gringotts is worth
Mhm.
the trip. Like, just go on the line, stand in line on
Mhm.
Gringotts, and then just bail if you don't wanna go on the roller
If
coaster.
you don't wanna go on the roller coaster, that's fine.
That like so and then you have Hagrid's. I would have to put Hagrid's at number 2. I
Me
don't know if
too,
you agree with yeah, right?
personally, yep.
It's a great ride.
Mhm.
It is I think there's everything that you really want in a ride. There's how many times? 7 times. There's launches, 7 launches. You go
Yeah.
backwards, you drop. It's insane. Like it
It
is.
also, I the ride cars for Hagrid's are so interesting to me because you've got the motorbike and you've got the sidecar, and unfortunately, I'm 4'11", and my, boyfriend is 6'3", so I have never been on the motorbike. The cast members will not let him ride in the sidecar.
It's too
Um,
big. He's just too big.
it's yeah, he's just too
Oh, okay,
tall.
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
know.
Well, because both times we've tried,
Okay.
um, to get him in the sidecar because I've been like, "I've never been on the motorcycle."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but we've tried twice, and both times they were like, "He's not gonna fit in the sidecar."
Oh, wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
Huh.
and I didn't even know that they had, like, dimensions like that where it was like, "Oh, well, this person's too tall to ride the ride," because I've been 4'11" my whole life, and I was so excited when I finally passed 48 inches because I could get on everything.
That's so funny.
Um,
Alright, so we have Velocicoaster at 1, Hagrid's at 2, and then I'll let you pick number 3. Are we going Hulk or are we going Gringotts?
I think I have to go with the Hulk,
Okay.
only because, I'm not a particular fan of, the like, the 3D screen ride elements of Gringotts, um, because it's a roller coaster and it's really hard to keep those on your face if you're not holding on to them.
Yep. Yep, I agree with that. So,
Uh,
yeah, I love the Hulk, like, it's one of my favorite
I love
roller
Hulk.
coasters. It's just Velocicoaster and Hagrid's are just that much better, but
Yeah,
if you want, like, a classic thrill coaster, the Hulk is the way to go. Like, it's
yeah.
so awesome. It's such a great ride. Um, but let's talk about Velocicoaster. We kinda, like, skipped over it because it's just like the "Oh, yeah, no, it's the best roller coaster in Orlando." Like, we know that
It's
already,
incredible.
right? What shocked me about Velocicoaster is the amount of airtime you get on that ride.
12 seconds.
It
Yep.
is insane. It literally feels like you're out of your seat half the time, and
Mhm.
it was the most. insane, and then you have a lap bar. Like, that is just
Oh, yeah.
insane. You're like, "What is going on?" Like, I could not believe it the first time I went on it. It was
Mhm.
it was so, and I was just laughing. I'm like, "I'm gonna die. Like, I think I'm gonna die. I think I'm falling out of this thing." I had no idea what was going on. It was incredible. It was such a thrill, and then that barrel
Mhm.
roll at the end over the water,
The
it's almost like
Mosasaurus roll.
it feels like you just, like, pause in midair, it feels like, because you're just
Yeah.
so out of your seat, and then it's like, "Oh, yeah, no, we'll catch you, don't worry, we'll flip this thing around, and you won't fall out." I'm like, "Okay."
Well, and the, inverted stall that happens, like, right over, like, the walkway going
Yes.
into that area, the inverted stall, you're upside down for 3 seconds, I think? Which, in
It's
coaster time, that is a long time to be
a
upside
really
down.
long time. A really long, and that's right, you're coming off of the what is it? The top hat, right?
Yep,
And you go right into that,
155 feet. Mhm.
and you're like, "What is going on here?" And
Yeah.
it's such a smooth ride too.
Oh, it's so
So
smooth.
that's what makes it, like, so great, is that you're not getting knocked around, you're getting thrills, but you're not getting, like, hurt doing it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, where, like, Rip Ride Rockit, you're just getting tossed, and you're like, "Oh, man, this is not good," you know?
Yeah.
But, like, Velocicoaster is just a smooth ride, and the amount of airtime, I
Mhm.
I just it blew me away, it really did, and, I could it's safe to say that that's probably the best roller coaster I've ever been on.
I
In
agree,
like, I'm not
100%.
you, but
I I was from everything, from the very first moment you walk in there and they're like, "This is the Velocicoaster." And it's got, like, that announcer voice, and you're like, "Oh, what am I getting myself into?" That's where my people started to panic a little bit because I they had seen the top hat. They were like, "Oh, no," and I had to, like, downplay how tall it was because I definitely told him it was only 100 feet. I, like, downplayed how tall it was because I know I have a bunch of people that are, like, super scared of heights, and I was like, "Ooh, if I drop 155 on them, they're gonna freak
yeah,
out." But, like, we
it goes
walked into that entrance zone where you've got, like, the big statues and everything, and they were like, "What are we doing?" And then we went into the room with the velociraptors, and they were like, "What is going on?"
yeah, it's insane. It's insane. It's such a great queue, the ride itself is great. One thing to note though, yeah, you can't bring anything with you
Anything.
on this
Mm-mm.
ride, anything. So, I unloaded, like, I went on by myself, my family stayed behind, right? And, they were in that discovery zone, the kids' discovery zone, they had a
Yeah,
blast. They had My kids
love
had
the
a
Discovery Zone.
blast where you
Mhm.
can put your face on a dinosaur, to see, like, dinosaur eggs. They had a blast while they waited for me. But I brought for some reason, I just had my phone in my pocket, like, didn't even think about it, and you get up, you have to go through, like a metal detector, right? Like,
Mhm.
before you get on the ride, and if you have that now, I didn't have my admission ticket at all, so, like, to get it they have lockers there right after that metal detector.
Yep.
So, if you have your phone in your pocket, you don't have your admission ticket on you to get a free locker. They're free, the lockers. They'll give you a little card. It's like a temporary card,
It's just like a paper
a little
ticket.
paper thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope I get my phone back. I did. Like, it all worked out in the end.
Well, that's good.
But just so people know that, like, if you do mess up and forget something in your pocket, like, you do have the opportunity to, like, put it in a locker before you get on the ride.
Right.
It doesn't
Right,
cost
well,
you.
and they do, so because, I mean, I'm a big lanyard collector, especially for Universal and everything, so I have a ton of lanyards, but, if you do have your park ticket, like, in those lanyards and stuff, you can keep it on you, you just have to tuck it into your shirt,
Okay,
um,
it's good to know.
but you can keep that on you. My knee brace, every single time I go through the metal detector, it goes off. It will not go off at TSA, it will not trip the sensors on any other metal detector. On the Velocicoaster, it trips it every time.
That's crazy.
Every time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've never been on the Velocicoaster where it didn't trip it, and then they had to, like, use the wand to make sure I didn't have anything. I was like, "It's my knee brace, I promise."
Funny. That's so funny. All right, so there we have it. We have our list of roller coasters. We went one at Velocicoaster, two Hagrids, three Hulk, four Gringotts, 5 Revenge of the Mummy, and then Rip Ride Rocket at a distant last. And then, of course, Flight of the Hippogriff Roller Coaster. I guess you're going on Troller Coaster before Velocicoaster, but that's okay. All right. So at this point, before we start talking about Epic Universe, we'll take a little break and we'll be right back. All right. The Universally Epic podcast is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel, a Universal You Preferred travel agency. If you are looking to plan your next Universal Orlando vacation, let's do it together. As a certified Universal specialist, I can help guide you through the planning process with helpful tips and tricks along the way. The best part, all my travel planning services are absolutely free to use. And when you book your Universal Orlando vacation with me, you qualify for an exclusive booking bonus offer from the Magic Flash Travel. A $25 Universal gift card for all vacation packages over $2,500. Ready to start planning? Email me at jim.klein@themagicforless.com to start planning your next Epic Universal vacation. So now we're going to get into talking about Epic Universe. Epic Universe is opening May 22nd, 2025. And the part that we're going to talk about is pretty much the first world that you're going to encounter is Celestial Park. It's a huge green type space. It's one of a kind, I think. It's going to be extremely unique. There's going to be rides, shops, restaurants. Um, what's your feeling on Celestial Park?
So I think it's really interesting considering the theming of Epic as a whole is kind of this like space time kind of thing with like all of the portals where you're walking through portals to get into these lands. And I think Celestial Park is the perfect thing to tie those all together, because you've got things like the totally not dueling dragons, Stardust Racers, um, which is it's a multi-launch racing roller coaster. Um,
It's definitely a nod to Dueling Dragons, which was one of my
yeah,
favorite roller coasters growing up. Like I thought that was an amazing, amazing ride. And once you saw the Stardust Racers like concept art, you're like, oh yeah, no, you're right, Dueling
yeah.
Dragons. Like, you're just moving it to the park, and it's like, and every Universal fan's like, yes, it's coming back. Like,
Exactly. And it's cool because especially if you ride it at night, there are lights on all of the trains that kind of look like comets and like
yeah,
stars, like shooting stars and stuff.
yeah,
So you just kind of like are a shooting star when you're on the roller coaster.
yeah. Supposedly, there's not going to be any external lights, so all the lights that you're going to see are on the tracks and on the cars. It's
Yeah.
going to look really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, Also, like, so there's got to be stuff for kids, obviously, in a new park. They have a
Hmm.
carousel, which looks
Yeah.
ridiculously cool. Like they took a carousel and just made it better. It looks like
It's also massive.
it's
It
huge.
is huge.
It is. It's taking a huge space out of Celestial Park, but I feel like Celestial Park is obviously going to be the largest part of the park.
Right.
It's like kind of serves as like the hub for all the portals,
Hmm.
and it looks gorgeous. Like some of the concept art and I love all the green spaces, the waterfalls, the fountains. Like it's gonna look like you're not even in a theme park. It seems right. Everything
Yeah.
seems like it just kind of blends together,
Hmm.
and it looks like it's a place where it's a nice starting point for your day because it's not so like intense, right? Like so you have this like nice greenery, waterfalls, and then you get into like the portals, and then you're going into these immersive lands through these portals. So
Yeah.
it's a really cool concept that they came up with.
Yeah. I just it's Celestial Park is so interesting to me. Mostly just because like everybody's like, well, you keep saying that there's five lands and I'm only counting four, but you have to count Celestial Park in there because it is the central hub. It's going to have all of the like shops that are reflective of each of the lands. um and then it's got this massive carousel, it's got this big roller coaster, and it really is a land in and of itself. I mean, it's Celestial Park.
Yeah, it,
No, it's not an IP land, but it is definitely it definitely can hold its own as its own immersive land.
don't you think it's nice to not have an IP land?
Yes.
Right? Like it's kind of like throws it back to like old school Universal where it's just like this is like what we created just for this park, right? Like
Right.
it's not like oh let's just throw a bunch of IP at it because that increases sales of merchandise and this and that. It just seems like this is like really well thought out and really
Mhm.
like a nice nod. It's the whole thing kind of seems like a nod to old school Universal.
Right.
Uh,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's really that's probably the best way that you could put it, actually.
Uh,
Um
so we have a couple dining areas there. So there's a fine dining restaurant called the Atlantic, which has
Mhm.
what seems to be 30-foot windows around the whole thing.
Yeah, you can look out, like, across the waterfalls and things like that. It is
Amazing.
beautiful.
Yeah, like we don't have any menus yet, and I really am looking forward to that particular menu because it looks like that's going to be like the signature restaurant at the park.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll see how fine dining it is and see what kind of food it is, right?
Yeah, I believe from what I've heard, don't quote me. From what I've heard, I believe it's supposed to be seafood.
Okay, so so a seafood restaurant. I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll have like any other seafood restaurant, some steaks and other options.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks gorgeous. If it looks anything like the concept art, it's gonna be amazing. Um,
Mhm.
the other restaurant that's gonna be there is gonna be the Blue Dragon, a Pan Asian restaurant. So
Yeah.
very interesting choice, right?
Mhm. It's kind of interesting considering, like, what the land is. Pan Asian is probably not the idea that I would have gone with, but I mean, the Atlantic isn't really a idea I would have gone with either. But I don't really know what I would have put there anyway.
True.
It's
The
definitely an interesting thing where it's like, "Oh, okay,
yes,
interesting."
exactly. So, but like the Atlantic, when you look at the concept art, it kind of flows into the land, right? Like
Yeah.
everything looks, and then when you look at the Blue Dragon, it looks completely different, right? Like, is it
Yeah.
just me or
No. It definitely seems, I wouldn't say necessarily, like, out of place, but it doesn't seem like it goes in the area it's in.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, exactly. But I guess you got to put some like a nice variety of food in the
Right.
park, right? So like on our first episode, we talked about Dark Universe, and there's gonna be a steakhouse type restaurant in there. So like you have that, you have the seafood at the Atlantic. So the concept art looks amazing.
Mhm.
Like you said, it just looks like I would like to see how the food is before I make any judgments on the Blue Dragon, right?
I
Like
feel similarly.
right?
But I mean, I guess since it's like the central hub and we are kind of, there's going to be food from like all of these places around in all of the other lands, I guess it makes sense that there would have to be an Asian restaurant somewhere in there.
Yeah, and you do this is gonna be a sit down, right? Yeah, full service restaurant.
Yeah,
So, like,
full service restaurant.
you definitely need, like, enough full service restaurants to, like, get people out of the heat, get people to sit down, like, just, and spend a couple hours in there. Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Listen, I love food, so, like, I can't wait to see the menu of this, and I hope it's great, like and, yeah, it looks colorful, that's for sure.
It's definitely colorful.
Okay. And then, like we said, so Celestial Park is kind of going to be your like your base. You're going to go into the portals, out of the portals, into Celestial Park. So that's like
Mhm.
your main area. What are you looking forward to the most in Celestial Park? It's got to be the roller coaster, right?
It's the roller coaster.
It's like it's not even like a question. Um, but it just seems like it would be a cool place to like relax in the middle of the day.
Mhm.
Right, like, it could be a nice little break, you're going in and out of the portals. It's gotta take a lot of energy just traveling that much through all these portals,
Right.
you
Well,
know?
and it won't be nearly as jarring as, say, like, in Universal Studios proper, where you're walking through Minion Land and then you open up and you're in Hollywood.
Yeah, it
Where it won't be as jarring because you'll walk out of the portal, you're in Celestial Park. You'll go
yeah,
into another portal, you come out, you're in Celestial Park.
yeah.
And it seems like it's a really good way for you to be like, okay,
You know,
let's move on.
and I'm sure it helps with the actual construction of the park
Oh,
where
definitely.
it's one way in, one way out, and
Mhm.
you don't have to make that big loop around the entire park. So,
Right.
you could stick more stuff in those themed lands than if you needed to put, oh, we have to go from, Nintendo World to Dark Universe,
Right.
right? It's hard to make that transition. So this makes it so much easier, I feel.
I feel similarly. The transition just seems to make more sense,
Like you said,
as far as like
Minions, like,
everything else goes.
obviously my son, huge Minions fan. Um, but Minions Land was like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's, you literally could walk through it in less than a minute, and not even in less than a minute. I think it's like 30 seconds because it's just kind of like there, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's all shoved right there at the front of the park, which is kind of unfortunate because Minion Mayhem was there anyway, so they couldn't
Yes.
really take Minion Mayhem and put it somewhere else because it was already right there. And then they made Villain Con, and then they
Yeah.
just kind of themed that street so it works
Yeah.
um, with minions, and it's a small area for sure.
Small. But Min-
Um,
Minions
but
Cafe, highly underrated. I don't know
oh,
if
I
anybody has.
love the Minion Cafe.
It is good. I had a tomato soup. It was delicious. It had big chunks of bacon in it. It was so delicious.
The
And my
mac
son,
and cheese,
yeah,
incredible, immaculate.
I couldn't believe it. I had a guest one time ask me like, "Oh, where do you recommend to go eat?" I'm like, "Minions Cafe." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm telling you, the food is incredible. It was very good for
It took
3 hour quick
weeks.
service. It's amazing."
Yeah, it took weeks for me to convince my friends that we were going to the Minion Cafe because they were like, "We're not going to the Minion Cafe. Why are we going to go to the Minion Cafe? Taylor, we're 26. We're
Yeah,
not going to the Minion Cafe." And I was like, "No, please understand. The Minion Cafe is so good."
I agree 100%. It was so good. It was one of our favorite places that we went and ate at, and everybody's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, trust me, like, I
So
know food."
good.
Uh,
Well,
so
and it's like decently priced. Like
yeah,
it's not a
it's a
crazy.
reasonable quick service, and they have, like, I love that Universal has those QR codes on the table, and you just use the mobile app, and they just bring it right to your table. It's the best thing ever. You don't have to stand
So
online.
nice.
It
Mhm.
is great. It's great. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for this week's episode. So before we go, uh, I want to thank you and for coming on. I want you to let everybody know where they can find you, either on social or if you have a newsletter you want them to join.
Yeah, you can follow me at taylor.made.travels
Okay.
um, on Instagram. And then you can find me on Facebook also under just my first name, Taylor Franklin. Um, uh, that's pretty much it. I'm working on a newsletter, but if anybody would like to be involved in that, just shoot me a quick message on Instagram or Facebook with an email, and I'll add you to the list.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So let's wrap this up. I want you to like, follow, and subscribe to Universally Epic Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whichever app you prefer. Also, join the Universally Epic Tips and Tricks Facebook community. This episode has been brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. If you have any Universal Orlando trip planning questions or looking to book your next trip, email me at jim.klein@themagicforless.com. And like always, have an epic week, everybody. And to help me out, I have a lifetime Universal enthusiast and fellow agent. She has been with oh my God. See, this is what happens to me. This is what happens. It's just the worst. Like, I wrote it out and I didn't reread it. That's the problem. All right. Okay, I'm gonna start out here. Okay, hold on. How do travel agent. Oh, sorry. Let me just adjust this. Okay, here we go. And to help me out, I have a lifetime. I don't like lifetime. Lifetime sounds lifelong. That's the thing. Okay, ready? Let's do it. All right. So I guess I'll just start with like, well, okay, and we're back, and then just go into like a little epic universe introduction, and then we'll talk
Okay,
about
perfect.
Sea Park. All right.
All right.
All right. No, 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 I'm not all right.
Take your time. Take a deep breath.
Man.